Hi, I'm Gail Minogue, and I'm back today to do a look-see on our VP candidates, both J.D. Vance and our new candidate, Tim Walz, W-A-L-Z, I believe his name is, yes. So I worked up the charts on both of these, and you can see the backstory of these people that are now the vice presidential candidates for the 2024 election. So I'd like to start with J.D. Vance, which is not his real name. His James Donald Bauman is his real name, B as in baby, O-W-M-A-N, James Donald Bauman. So Bauman, Vance, has a 5 life path. The interesting thing about Vance is that his life path is the same as the United States. His life path is the same as Kamala Harris. So always there's an affinity when someone has a 5 life path to the United States itself. One of the things about a 5, and I've mentioned this before, these are people who are change agents. They like change. They want things to move. They're in motion. And he has also a destiny of the 5, which is almost too much 5 energy. When your life path from your date of birth, and which is August the 2nd, 1984. So he just turned 40. Okay, so he's basically beginning to lay the foundation of his life, which we do in numerology. We lay the foundation at age 40. We integrate the life at age 50. So it takes all that time before you're fully integrated to really free yourself from your shoulds and woulds and should have done and all that. And that doesn't start till 50. So now he's laying the foundation of what and who his life and he is about. But being an agent of 5, that's almost too much change. You have to really discipline yourself when you have that much 5. I'm a 5 and I've had change. Much of it has been circumstantial. It just, you have to adjust to it and move on. Usually when people come here, meaning to the earth level, they've had past lives. If they're taking on a 5 life path, they've had the past life in particular was one of great restriction. You know, maybe they were in prison, or maybe they were in a monastery, or some other isolated situation. Maybe they were a servant. They never got out of the house. You know, so they were restricted. So this lifetime, they get to live 4 lives in one. So they could be a juggler, a blacksmith, you know, a political person, or a singer. I mean, they try on different things. And that's what I see this gentleman, Vance, doing, is now trying on. He's at the next level of his try on, or this next we'll try the political group. We'll see how that does. And so from the age of 32 to 40, which is real interesting because he's just crossed that Rubicon, he's in what we'll call a very caring, domestic orientation to outside, helping, fixing, doing all this domestic responsibility, getting married, having children, all that, because he had 9 years of the number 6 energy. What is 6 energy? It's domestic, it's responsibility, it's all that kind of stuff, service. So that started at 32, and it went age 32. And it goes through age 40, which is just now. So in some respect, he's finishing up a segment of his life. But here's the deal. We want to look at where is this going in his chart. And he's going into what we call a 7 period for 9 years. What is a 7? A 7 is introspection. It's inner life. It's inner process. It's studying. It's the mind. It isn't active out there. So I honestly, anything's up for grabs, is that his life now is not going to be what he's been doing. And it doesn't have to do with the political office or anything. It's that he's going to go on an inner journey versus an outer journey. Up till now, he's been, the first 31 years of his life, was learning to stand on his own 2 feet, being independent, courageous, bold. That was the first 31 years of his life. Then he went into this domestic responsibility role for 9 years, which just is ending this year in 2024. So now he starts the introspection, the more thinking, the more all of this stuff. But guess what? He doesn't have a 7 in this chart. He doesn't have a 7. He doesn't have an 8. He doesn't have a 9. That one's really unusual that doesn't have a 9. So the 7 is all about development of the inner self, the intellect, and combining the intellect or the superconscious mind with the conscious mind, and combining these two. So it's a time period where you begin to process inwardly versus out. And he hasn't had that experience. It's going to hit off this karma. When I say he has no 6, I mean he has no 7, no 8, or 9. That means he doesn't have those letters in his name. What is the number 7? That's a G, right? Okay? That's a P, right? That's a Y. He doesn't have those. So these are missing. Anytime we have a missing letter, missing number that we don't have it fixed anywhere else in our name or our life path or personality, it's a missing karmic situation for him. And he's missing the 7, the 8. He doesn't have an H or a Q or a Z. He doesn't have that in his life. And he doesn't have, he doesn't have the 9. The 9 is a humanitarian. It's not here. He doesn't have an I. He doesn't have an R. There's no 9. Those are the 9 letters in the alphabet. He's not have that. So there's a lot of issues going on here. A lot of issues. I don't think you've seen, you don't know yet. When he branches out to 41 next year, I think a lot of things are going to change for this gentleman. I think this is the last year at age 40 to complete this passage of all this responsibility and all this stuff, and moving into this much more inner perspective, outworld, not so busy, wanting to be more alone, all that. Right up till now, that is not what he's wanted. This is 5, wants to move, wants to change, wants to see this field. Remember, I said these people have been in past lives where they didn't have the ability to be able to try on themselves and try on parts of the world. So they could live 4 lives in one. So this is to me, when I look at this chart, I see a gentleman who is trying on a role. And the other thing too is having this 5 destiny, he has to learn to free other people from their stuck and to understand what real freedom is, okay? What is real freedom? And a lot of times we mistake what real freedom is. And so, to accept somebody the way they are and to you to be accepted the way you are, that's really freedom. I mean, that genuine deep down freedom. It isn't about signing a declaration or anything. It's really freedom. So part of his job, honestly, and I was looking at this chart. I didn't know this. I didn't hear about him in the newspaper. I would say this is a perfect guy for a coach, a mentor, a entertainer, a person who gets up there like a Tony Robbins. That kind of, he has that energy in his chart. He promotes, he markets, he's terrific, all that kind of stuff. And he can help you make changes. And that really is his job, to help you make changes in your life, constructive change, where you can do this and you have the freedom to do it. It's very, very important that he has freedom. And I don't know how much freedom, if he got in the role of vice president, how much freedom he would really have. I don't know that would make him really happy. He's a communicator deep down. He's got a 3. He likes, he can be, I guess, kind of funny, but he's more of an entertainer. And he's got all that Leo energy. And Leo, the sign of Leo in astrology, rules Hollywood. It's the entertainment world. So, he's made a movie, he's written a book. Now he's on the political stage. I don't necessarily feel that's the stage for him at all, is the political stage. I think He can speak anybody's language. The nice thing about a 5, they're the great salesman of the world. The United States is a 5 country. It's the great marketer of the world. It can sell anybody anything around the world, and it does. That's what it sells ideas. It sells, ice cream. I had someone recently come from Germany, and they loaded up on pounds of peanut butter M&Ms because they couldn't buy them over there in Germany. Peanut butter M&Ms. And so these are little things. America could market dog poop and turn it into something that they could sell because they're the marketers. He's a marketer. He's a 5. All 5s are the same in that respect. They need freedom. They have constant change. And they're always looking to see what's the next thing. These are the people who go down the street, and I'm speaking as a 5. They go down the street, they throw the hand grenade in the house, and they keep on walking. Catalysts don't change. They change everything around, but they don't change. So he's the catalyst to make things go like that. Now, there's constructive change and there's destructive change. And you've got to be on the right side. Is it destructive or constructive? Because we can make a lot of stupid mistakes thinking we're making change, and all we did was outsmart ourselves. So my feeling is this is not his profession. He should write, speak, entertain, make movies, do all that stuff. And he can really inspire an audience. But it's not the political world. He's missing a 7, 8, and 9. Very hard to be a leader with these numbers missing. Being an effective leader, very hard. And you have to think, what happens if Trump falls over? What's going to happen? Are we going to run the country by Vance? He doesn't have a 7, 8, or 9. One of the key things that's scary is he doesn't have the number 9. There's no I, no R. Almost everybody has these two numbers, an I or an R in their name, their whole birth name, all of their birth names. They have an I or an R. And this is a need that he's got to do in this lifetime to help relieve the suffering of humanity and improve the human condition. And it's not here. It is not here. So karmically, he needs to put stuff in his karma bank to really help and improve the masses, relieve suffering, not to make it worse. Not to do that. And, I've heard some interviews with people who used to know him when he was that. It doesn't surprise me because I believe he honestly started out more of kind of a spiritual realm guy. And I don't think religion is his thing, really. He's a performer. But he's so good he's a motivational speaker. That's his work. And the other thing too, he's born on a 2-day, so he can bring the peace if necessary. He can bring the peace. He can bring people together. But his personality is a master number 11, which is a great number, but it's indecisive. So it has to choose. Always is at a point of choosing, correcting. And my feeling is that he'll change professions. The only thing here is that he's like the running mate to Trump. And unless he can find some ways to correct these missing numbers, tough road. The other thing too is I'm looking at his childhood in this chart, and he was really betrayed. He was really, really betrayed. And it shows that he was betrayed very early. Somebody let him down. It sounds like the parents were very problematic or not there or couldn't support him or were abusive. And so it's not surprising. This is old past life stuff with these people. And so what he developed very, very early was a lack of trust. He didn't trust people. I don't hold it against anybody if they've had this in their chart. But unless you can trust people, you don't get the support you need. So you can be manipulative instead to get what you want because you don't trust people. So it's very important that he have that marriage that he can surrender to and have a person he can trust because he doesn't trust. I don't know if he'll ever overcome that. People that, that he can basically trust right out. And I don't think I think that's bedded in there from so long ago. But what will happen is during the next 9 years, starting next year, he's going to go through this inner journey, inner process, and he's going to have to do a lot of self-look internally. He may return to some of the stuff that he's put aside over the last 9 years. And my feeling is he will more, he could go extremes. 5 goes to extremes. And, you know, and you look at a person going through the same thing over and over and over again, that they don't learn their lesson. They go over again and over again. They stay with a person a long, long time that they should have divorced, but they stay. Then finally one day they walk out and say, I'm divorcing. But it took forever. So he has a spiritual quality, but not a religious quality. And he adopted some religion, I believe, but that basically, I doubt it. I doubt it that it will last him. And again, he's missing the 7, which is that superconscious, higher conscious mind with the lower conscious mind, missing this, learning how to not take things at value, to really learn to ask, to look what's beneath the surface. Also missing the 8, he has to learn a lot about power, money, all of that. That's missing here. He has to learn how to manifest. He has to learn how to use his energy, time, and money well. That's missing here. It's also missing this humanitarian impulse. That's missing here. So there's a lot of stuff with those 3. That's a lot to overcome. And then, of course, you've got the betrayal, which is that you don't really overcome. So there's just basically a lack of trust. And people, what happens when you don't trust people? People sense it. They feel it. And so you do not get the emotional support you would want, and you don't get the financial support you want sometimes. The thing that makes it up in his chart is there's a cockiness in this chart, and he knows how to do hard work. There's a cockiness, cheerfulness, a cocky cheerfulness. That's what I would call it. And he knows how to, well, kind of suck up to people. He knows how to do that, and it's served him very well. But the thing about it is, when these 3 missing numbers are sitting out here, again, it's time. It takes time. Sometimes we think nothing of, we go ahead and we do things until one day we can't or we don't. And that's how time works, karma works. It just takes time. Now, after 50, he's got a charmed, much easier time, a much more charmed time, where he can really, that's where I feel he'll greatest success will begin around 50, where he can really work with audiences. He belongs in front of audiences, not in commander-in-chief. That's really not his shtick. He's really an inspirational speaker and an agent of change. That's his path, not what he's doing. But this may make, if he is defeated, if they're defeated, then he's going to fall into and prepare over the next 9 years for this big second half of his life, where he can then really inspire, motivate, and change people's lives. That's where I think he will go. Who knows? All I can do is point out what I see. He's got a great chart for being a second coming of Tony Robbins and financially benefit from all that. But he's got to learn the humanitarian situation of his own chart. What can I do to help them and relieve their suffering and not worry about what it's in for him? That's the thing about the 9. There's a sacrifice. You got to sacrifice something for the benefit of humanity. Sacrifice. You don't worry about what you get paid back for doing it. You do it. And so interesting to see what the universe will set up for him in this lifetime to balance out these missing numbers, missing letters. Okay, so that's on our dear friend Vance, and we see what happens. That's all we can do is watch as it plays out. Thank you again always for watching. I appreciate it. As you can see, if you've been following my channel with various people and names and things that I work with, I don't know nothing about these people. I've never met them, but I can tell a lot about their own lives, and there's a lot more. But it's interesting just to present what you see here. So if you need something like that for you, and you want to go deeper into your issues or concerns, or questions or direction. This week I did a session for a woman 87. I have another session tonight of a woman who's 80. People, life is 120 years. What are we doing? So please get back in touch with me and let me do one for you and help you to straighten out and prevent things, and so that you don't waste your time, energy, and money in this lifetime. Thanks again.